Sharon Vickery with Rotary Club of Des Moines. Today it's my pleasure to interview Elaine Estes. Would you please state your name and how you've been involved with your connection with Rotary?
I am Elaine Graham Estes. I live in Des Moines, Iowa, and I also live in Springfield, Missouri, where I make up at Rotary meetings there.
And how long have you been involved with Rotary?
I was one of the first women taken in Des Moines, and Des Moines took women in prior to International finalizing their decision to take Rotary, women into Rotary. So I've actually been in 27 years now. So, and I'm wearing my attendance pin.
It's very nice. So was your club, the Rotary Club of Des Moines, were they the first in the district to invite women to join the club?
They were the first in the country to invite women. They invited, and the first in Des Moines, of course. But they took them in a whole year, took us in a whole year prior to International finalizing their guidelines and changing the procedure.
So you're the first woman in the entire world that ever joined Rotary. I'm honored. So what attracted you to Rotary and what's kept you in Rotary?
Well, I certainly believe in the principles of Rotary and certainly feel that there's an opportunity to participate in many things that I believe in, and that you can be of service to your community or to the world or to individuals in many different ways.
Mm-hmm. And you have been just that. You've been an inspiration. What was your first role or responsibility with Rotary?
Well, I felt my first personal responsibility was to get acquainted with Rotary and understand what the organization stood for, what it expected of its members, and how you could participate and interact with the membership. And or getting to know other Rotarians is a very important part of Rotary, and that also opens up new opportunities to be of service to your community. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's sort of sums it up. But I like the international aspect, and because who enjoys travel, it's wonderful to go places and see the Rotarian signs in places that are saying, welcome to Rotary, or Rotary provided this, or Rotary was involved with, so many places have so many water problems, and when you see contributions to from Rotary to various places of the world.
So I know you probably have lots of very good memories of Rotary. What's one of your favorites?
Well, there are two kind of fun things that I think about. I happen to have been in India, in Bombay, which has now changed its name. But when I was in the famous Bombay Hotel, and I saw that Rotary was meeting during the time I was there, so I appeared at the meeting. And that was the first day in India that they took in a woman. Mm. So that was certainly very memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. You were quite the trailblazer. How did they respond?
Well, they were very interested. I think they were very surprised to see one appear. Mm-hmm. And because at the sign-in, the gentleman who was taking, I asked about my membership, and I said, yes, I have been a member for several years, and I'm just pleased to be here on this day. And then he said, where do you come from? And he was interested that I had been in several years before they took women in. The other kind of interesting thing, as we talk about it being international, I did a volunteer project in Yucatan for the English-speaking library there. So during the many, many months that I was there, I began to try to track down a Rotary meeting. And this was pretty, it took some searching to do because they were not very accustomed to women. And so I really had to work at finding out where the meeting was going to be because they were not very open about it.
They thought you were an infiltrator. Yes. How do you think the world might look different without Rotary?
Well, certainly we have made so many inroads into the polio situation. And I grew up during the period when the polio epidemic in the United States was very, very concerned to the medical people as well as to individuals. And when you think about remembering that and how few services many countries have for medical experiences, and my hope, I think it's wonderful that Rotary has taken that as a project, but also I think the educational opportunities that Rotary provides for people of all ages, that certainly we have been big contributors to that. And I like it that our club gives books to school, and I have shared that with other clubs that I have visited, and some of them have adopted our idea because they think it's a good idea. So I think literacy, reading, and health issues, and all of the wells that have been provided for countries that need water wells. So is that kind of
that was perfect. And taking that question one step further, what do you think Rotary would look like if women herself had never gotten involved?
Well, when I see people like our district governor becoming who is a female, and meeting people and reading the Rotarian magazine, how many women who have taken leadership steps in their clubs and nationwide, I think we bring a different point of view to things. We also bring different professions. And since Rotarians are made up of people in different professions and different workforces, that's again an opportunity for the membership to learn about professions, diversity, and expand the knowledge. So I think that would not have happened had Rotary not been part of it. It's interesting that you say, when you talk about when I went in, Rotary had invited me first, and the Lions Club then later invited me, and but Rotary again was ahead of its time before the Lions Club in taking in women. So I think that women have had an opportunity to contribute to their clubs, their nation, and the country.
They have, and they've really done their part. What do you think Rotary will look like in the future?
Well, all organizations are having a hard time with membership. And, women's clubs, sororities, and anything that people join is just quite different than it is. But I certainly hope that Rotary will be able to sustain itself. And I'm sure that there will be new opportunities to provide not only things like, we hope that the polio thing will have gone away then, but I assume there'll be something else that will be of an opportunity worldwide for Rotarians to participate in, but also to customize the needs as we know more about the world through all of the technology that we have now, all of the sharing of information that countries do and that people do. So it's my hope that Rotary will still have a place in the world in its next 100 years.
So with that in mind, would you like to send a message to future Rotarians about why and how they should get involved?
Well, it's certainly an opportunity to learn. Rotary provides a very satisfactory experience for its membership because we have wonderful programs in most places, and those opportunities to learn are quite different than you learn on the other outside world. And so I think that there's that aspect of learning. It's also a way for professions to share, recruit people, and provide needs for a community that would not be identified otherwise. And I think that will always be a need. But as the changing world goes by, I think Rotarians are smart enough to find new ways to be a part of the service of their community and of the country.
Mm-hmm. Well, very well said. Thank you, Elaine, for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. I hope that this will be useful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Elaine Estes. I live in Des Moines, Iowa, and belong to the downtown chapter of Rotary International. A wonderful experience in getting to know some 300 people who come from various backgrounds, both in education and in profession. And I was pleased to be invited by Terry Tone and David Goldman to be a member of Rotary. Suku Roddy was the membership vice president at that time. Olin Newland was president of the club, and Des Moines was advanced, as it always is, in taking in 10 women as the first members of Rotary. And this was a year before the International had set their guidelines and reestablished the protocol. I attended Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, and got my master's in library science at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. I was with the Public Library of Des Moines for 39 years and director for 19 of those. So it was during that time, and it so happened that when I started at the library, Dan Williams, there were only 2 directors before me, and Dan Williams, who was director at the time I started, was also a Rotarian, and I remember him leaving every week to go to Rotary meeting. So some 10 years later, there I was leaving to go to Rotary meeting. And the Des Moines downtown has wonderful programs, and they try to keep us enlightened about the members of Rotary, give some of the programs, but outside people are invited. Through all of this, while there are opportunities to find out what the needs are of the community of Des Moines, and many of our service projects have been geared around those. I should tell you one of my favorites is the fact that Des Moines Club participates participates in literacy opportunities. They have reading things at schools. Also, there is a walk near the library location at Tenton Locust called Rotary Way. They provided some of the trees that enhance that location, and Rotary does things annually, as well as giving books to the downtown school each week in honor of the speaker for our program. That person gets to inscribe some inspirational message that is recorded in the book, which the people who check out that book at the school library can become informed about Rotarians and the visitors and new subjects and new books that would not be available had not Rotary provided those. So that's an important part of what we do. There are many opportunities around the world for what Rotary stands for, and I have shared with other clubs where I made up and they ask me to say something about our club. I always tell them about our literacy program and our book program.
The very first role I was in was on the district level. I had been a Rotarian for about a year and a half, and the governor then was Ken Noble, and he came to visit our club, and he knew that I